Has anyone found a remedy to that yet? No. Was that back in the day? Yeah, Steve Martin. Is that when he had the arrow going through his head deal? That wasn't that. That wasn't that. That was just his stand-up deal. Yeah. So what about the jerk? Oh, there is? I'll have to go to YouTube and check that out, just like everything else. Just like everything else. How to do brisket, go to YouTube. Okay, we'll get started. Yeah, thank you for being here today. I'm extremely excited to unveil our 22 recruiting class this afternoon. Looking back at this past year, I'm really glad that we had the opportunity to have more of a regular recruiting cycle in terms of being able to get these guys on campus for visits. Prospects were able to come to games and see Spartan Stadium, the Woodshed, the Deep End, and then we also had a chance to go and visit these prospects and their families in their homes, which was invaluable. I'd like to thank all of our coaches and recruiting staff for tirelessly and relentlessly working on this recruiting class. This is a consensus top 20 class in the nation. This class is a national class featuring players from 11 different states, including the transfers. It's also important to recruit in-state. This class features 6 players from the state of Michigan, and the class has the size and the length that we're looking for. Overall, we have 10 players that are 6'4" and taller. So what I'll do is I'll go position by position with a breakdown. I have some brief comments on each player. We'll start with the offense. Number 1, starting with quarterback Caden Hauser, 6'3", 195. Elite 11 finalist. Athletic, versatile. He can make all of the throws. He's got a quick release. He's a leader. He's very, very poised in the pocket, very confident, has command of the offense. He has the it factor, in our opinion. He played on one of the best high school teams in the country, St. John Bosco, and he is an early enrollee. Running back, Jalen Berger, from Newark, New Jersey. It's a Wisconsin transfer from Don Bosco Prep High School, 6'3", 195. Was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school. Played at a great high school program in Don Bosco Prep. He's quick, he's shifty, he's elusive. He finishes forward. He's very good on yards after contact. He's very versatile, and he is a legitimate receiving threat out of the backfield. He will also enroll in January. Wide receiver, Antonio Gates Jr., 6'2", 190, ranked the #1 receiver in the state of Michigan. He's a 4-star recruit, son of all-pro tight end Antonio Gates Sr. He's long, he's athletic. He can take the top off the defense. He's a very tough player, very physical. He's very productive. He had 55 catches for 925 yards in just his senior season. He's got great hands, he's fast, and he's a polished route runner. Wide receiver Tyrell Henry, 6 feet 170, another versatile athlete. Detroit News Dream Team selection and first team All-State. He's a great returner on special teams, 6 punt returns for touchdowns while also returning 2 kicks for touchdowns. He's got some wiggle, he's got some burst. He led Roseville to his first district championship. He is a team leader. Very glad to have him. Wide receiver Jerron Glover, 6'1", 195. Long, fast, he's a true burner. He has legit long speed. He's athletic. He has a great catch radius, which is friendly to the quarterback. He's a playmaker. He can make the tough catches at the catch point, contested. He's physical, and the sky's the limit with this athlete. Tight end, Jack Nickel, 6'4", 240. He's big, he's physical, he's a pass-catching tight end. He's got big-time upside. He loves football, played all 4 years on varsity. His dad, Paul, played at Stanford, the same position, and he is also an early enrollee. Tight end, Mike Masunis, 6'4", 240. Tough, physical, hard-nosed tight end. He made drastic improvement from his junior to his senior season. He's got a lot of potential. He's a powerful blocker, and he's got very, very soft hands. Offensive line, offensive tackle, Ashton Lepo, 6'7", 270. Dream team selection, ranked best offensive tackle in the state of Michigan. Massive upside. He gets bigger every time we see him. He's quick and he's agile as an athlete. He flashes power, and he absolutely loves MSU. Offensive guard, Gavin Brocious, 6'4", 305. This guy is a mauler. He plans to finish every play. He's tough, he's physical, he loves MSU, he's a great leader, he's a punisher, he's a good athlete, he's got quick feet, he's a relentless competitor. Offensive guard, Christian Phillips, Big Dooley, 6'4", 350. He was the first commit of the class in November 2020. Again, his nickname is Big Dooley. You can see why. He is a massive human being. He's physical, he loves contact, he wants to finish, and he's got very quick feet for his size. He's somewhat of a dancing bear. Offensive tackle, Braden Miller from Aurora, Colorado, 6'6", 290. Polished, physical, tough, powerful, very technical, plays with great leverage, loves contact. He has massive potential. He could help us immediately. Defensively, defensive tackle, Alex Van Sumeren, 6'3", 300 pounds. Four-star prospect and the number 4 prospect in the state of Michigan. Named to Rivals 250 and ESPN's 300 as one of the best overall players in the country. 2-time Dream Team selection. Tough, physical, and athletic interior defensive lineman. He is a relentless competitor. He's also an early enrollee. Defensive end, Chase Carter, 6'6", 215, versatile, long athlete who held Division I offers in football and also basketball. He has great length, flexibility, pass rush ability. He's had a very productive senior season with 27 tackles for loss and 13 sacks. Just what the doctor ordered in terms of edge presence. Defensive end, James Schott, 6'4", 220, 2-time state champion. His high school team is ranked 9th in the nation. He's long, athletic. He's a great pass rusher. He's a track sprinter, relentless motor, high-character kid. He loves football, and again, he's another guy that gets bigger and bigger every time you see him. Linebacker, Q Carter, South Georgia, 6'3", 200 pounds. Physical, quick reactor, sideline to sideline. He's a hitter, see ball, get ball, athletic in space, very good ball skills. Will move from a safety position into the box. This guy absolutely loves football. He lives football, and he's a teammate of Malcolm Jones, as we'll talk about him later. Linebacker, Jacoby Windman from UNLV via John Ehret High School in New Orleans, 6'3", 200. 119 tackles, 11.5 tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles in 2021 alone. He's a highly rated portal transfer, all Mountain West linebacker, tough, physical leader, high football IQ. He is extremely explosive. He's an immediate impact type player, and he will also enroll in January. Linebacker Aaron Brule, via Metairie, Louisiana, 6'3", 200 pounds, a Mississippi State transfer, 53 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, very, very high football IQ, just graduated from Mississippi State, lives football, he's tough, he's a leader on and off the field, and he will also be here in January. In the secondary, corner, Caleb Coley, Warner Robins, Georgia, 6 feet, 165 pounds. He's a wiry, shifty, athletic, very, very tough physical player, looks for contact, excellent ball skills, great in coverage, and versus the run, he is a willing tackler, awesome personality. You're going to love this kid once you get to know him. He loves football. He's very spiritual. He knows his purpose in life, and he's also an early enrollee. Ade Willis, corner from IMG, 6'1", 185, very good athlete. He has great balance and body control. He has good size and length for his position. He's tough, he's physical. He runs well, he's got really good 40 times, electronic times, played for an excellent program at IMG. A very versatile athlete. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do and how many positions he can actually play. In the secondary, he's also an early enrollee. Safety, Jaden Mangum, Groves High School, 6'1", 185, U.S. Army All-American, number 8 prospect in the state of Michigan. Named to ESPN 300 as one of the top players in the country. He's a 4-star prospect. Versatile athlete, plays both sides of the ball. He's got great length and ball skills. He's a sideline-to-sideline guy, has excellent range. I coached his brother at CU, know the family very well, and he's also an early enrollee. Dylan Tatum, safety, 5'11", 185, West Bloomfield. Number 9 prospect in the state of Michigan, 4-star prospect named to ESPN's 300. Very tough, physical, aggressive player, a versatile athlete, plays both sides of the ball, just very, very explosive, super competitive, runs track. He's also an early enrollee. Safety, Malik Spencer, Beaufort High School in Georgia, 6'1", 190, 3-time state champion at Beaufort High. He's tough, he's physical, he's high motor. He absolutely lives football. He trains year-round. He's got excellent ball skills. He's contact tough. He looks for contact, practices and plays at a very, very high level, and he is a player that could step in and make an immediate impact for us. Safety, Malcolm Jones, Leesburg, Georgia, South Georgia, Lee County High School, 6'1", 190. One of the most physical players I've seen on tape in the last 5 or 6 years. He just visited campus. He's got great size and length. We're going to start him at the corner position initially. Plays both sides of the ball. He's got really good ball skills, elite level ball skills as a receiver his junior year. He's physical, Cam Chancellor type of athlete, teammate of Q Carter. Specialist, Jack Stone, Highland Park High School, 6'1", 190, 5-star kicker. He's got a big-time leg, strong on kickoffs, very strong on kickoffs and field goals. Plays for one of the best teams in Texas, the 2018 state champs, right there at Highland Park. And then we'll end with a couple more announcements, some additions that just came in here on defense. Defensive end Zion Young from Westlake High School in Georgia, 6'6", 226. Very productive senior season at Westlake High School in Atlanta. Long, athletic edge rusher. He's got huge upside. We're really excited about his future as a Spartan. Looks to have an immediate impact. Former Spartan Trey Person coaches at Westlake High School. And then last but not least, word has come in on Chris Bogle from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Transfer from the University of Florida, Cardinal Gibbons High School, 6'4", 240. Started 3 games and played in 11 games, 23 tackles and 3 sacks. He's a 4-star prospect and a top 50 player in the nation coming out of high school in 2019. I recruited him while I was at the University of Georgia. He's big, he's long, he's athletic. He brings the immediate pass rush capability that we need. He should have an immediate impact on our defense. So overall, as of right now, we've signed, I believe, 22 high school players, 10 on offense, 11 on defense, and 1 special teams, and 4 transfers. Again, we're very excited about this class. And with that long explanation, we'll open up for questions. If you don't have any, I'll be happy to get back to the office.
First. Mel, Tom Izzo has an old theory that he may have shared with you that give me guys that are dying to be here. You mentioned a lot of guys love MSU. How much does that weigh in your philosophy?
It weighs in quite a bit. Just like when I put together the coaching staff, you know, I didn't want to have to twist guys' arms to be here. And so everyone on our staff, you know, really wants to be here, wants to be a Spartan. It's the same thing in recruiting. You know, obviously we're in competition for players, and competition a great deal is about comparison. So obviously, you know, we have to fight and out-recruit folks. But at the end of the day, they have to want to be here. Their values have to align with our values, and they can see where, you know, coming to Michigan State will be beneficial for them on and off the field. And so every one of these guys feels that way about Michigan State.
Mel, the last 48 hours or so, maybe even into last week, how busy have you guys been in terms of trying to get not just guys to commit, but also with the portal, with flipping guys, all those things? I mean, how much busier maybe was it this year, or was it any busier than other years?
Yeah, we're very busy. It's around the clock, and it's actually still ongoing. You know, really as we speak. You know, the hay's not in the barn yet, but it's especially as you come down the stretch. You know, we played, you know, Penn State on a Saturday. We hit the recruiting trail on Sunday, and then we had 2 official visit weekends, you know, after that. And so, you know, leading up until this point, so, you know, we've been on the road, you know, coast to coast. All the coaches have been out. You know, we are working hard to finish the 22 class, you know, monitoring the portal, which is very, very fluid. There's guys popping in and out of the portal, you know, all day, every day, and making sure we get the evaluations on those guys, securing the commitments that we had, and then obviously if there were some uncommitted guys, there were some guys that were, you know, maybe looking to possibly flip, you know, really getting in the boat with those guys as well. So it's been very, very, very busy, a lot of long days and long nights, but you know, it pays off. You know, recruiting is the lifeblood of the organization, and you know, good players make you a good coach.
Mel, what are the chances that you'll have more names today? You're not done yet. And when you've given your pitch, either on campus or in the homes, what has really resonated and maybe surprised some people about where your program is? Well,
we may have another name or two by the end of today, but we're not sure about that. And again, recruiting is fluid, and with the transfer portal, and then the second signing date, that first Wednesday in February, you know, this thing goes all the way until June, actually, with the transfers in terms of when they get here and when they start classes. So it's you know, it's just really, this is the lion's share of the group. This is the bulk of the group. But there may be a little bit of a drip, you know, kind of as we go, going all the way up into our summer program. In terms of going into the homes, there's a lot of anticipation that I felt with the high school coaches and the parents and the prospects. They've heard so much about us, in the past, year and a half, but really hadn't, during COVID, hadn't been able to get really up close and personal with us. And I believe once people really saw us, up close, they really were just impressed with, our approach, being authentic, being real, and the transparency and the openness that we display when we talk about our program. And then almost to a prospect, when they visit campus, they all say it's much, much better than what we thought. And I even talked to a mom this past weekend that said that, hey, I really wasn't going to come. I was thinking about not really making a trip, but I'm glad that I did. The campus really sells itself, and then the culture that we have in our building, and all of the things that we offer our players, not just on the field but off the field. They're able to actually see what we do, and then talk to all of our staff and our support staff and talk to our players while they're here. And when we have player panels or when the players go back, in the evenings and hang out with our guys on their trips, they ask those tough questions, and what we're saying that we're doing actually checks out, because players don't lie to players. They tell the truth. And so, even sometimes it's almost a mentality of, man, this is too good to be true. What's the catch? It's got to be. It can't be this good. So, we've had some time to prove, who we are here, and so it's really paying off for us in recruiting.
Jack stole one of my questions, but I happened to see you working the phones even during your radio show last night. How many hours, or shall I say minutes, did you sleep last night?
You really want to know?
Yeah.
I wish I could tell you.
You up all night?
I wasn't up all night. I don't think I took a nap. I slept fast. Yeah.
Short one.
Yeah, a little shut eye. A little shut eye. There's not a lot of time to sleep right about now. Sometimes it's, there's a push, kind of like tax season, being an accountant.
Do you believe the 10-2 season and all the attention you got directly affected the quality of this class?
I believe so. A lot of the guys, quite a few of the guys were committed before the season started, and so they were sold on obviously more than what our record would be. The infrastructure precedes the culture, which precedes the success. And so when the players began to take their unofficial visits and official visits this summer, they could see the process, they could see the culture, they could see the infrastructure was in place to have a successful program. And so just really the season and the results in terms of the win and loss column kind of just confirmed that with them. So, and that's good, because 2 and 2, made 4, everything matched up.
Mel, you said something interesting on Monday about the NFL draft and how you how you look at guys. Some guys back up, some guys second round pick who may develop into a starter and win and all that stuff. And I'm wondering, with this class and in recruiting, are there certain barometers or questions each kid sort of has to answer in your mind before you offer them, or are there varying degrees?
Yeah, well, before we accept a commitment, there are certain boxes that these young men need to check for us, just like we're checking boxes for them. And so a lot of those boxes are not directly related to their athletic ability. Not just their height, weight, their measurables, how fast they are, how high they can jump, and things like that. We want to know about character, leadership. coachability, punctuality, and all those types of things. So there's a matter of research, a certain amount of research that goes on, to add to the overall picture of the player, and we take that into account before we take a commitment.
Well, I've got two things for you. I'll start sort of going off that. With this class, is there a greater sense of, you mentioned the other day when you were talking about that it's always a projection in recruiting. Is there a greater sense, though, with that face-to-face contact and even some camps and stuff this summer, that you guys have a better idea of what you're getting versus last year's class? Maybe there's not as many surprises or unknowns coming in terms of the players themselves?
Yeah, we do have more information on these players because we were able to go out on the road and get information, and we were able to bring them to campus and get even more information. And they know more about us as well. So it's everything is a projection. Nothing's 100%, but we feel very, very good about this group of guys that we've done our research. They're the right fit for us, and we were the right fit for them.
I also wanted to ask you about Saeed, if I could.
Saeed Khalif?
Yeah, coming in midway. What sort of, where do you see his fingerprints on this class?
I'll say nice things because he's sitting in the back of the room, and he is 6'6" or 6'7". No, he's done a really nice job. He really understands, our brand. He understands what type of players we're looking for, and he understands the culture and the feel and the vibe of our program. And so, and with that, there are certain types of players that we need. He has a really good idea and really good feel for where our immediate needs are, and where we have the luxury of maybe developing some players as opposed to needing guys to come in and play right away. So I work with him hand in hand, pretty much on a daily basis on recruiting, evaluation, marketing to players, but also roster management, which is more difficult now than it has ever been with the portal and COVID years and things like that. It's roster management is very fluid, and you have to be on top of it. And so he does a great all-around job. He's got a lot of experience, and he's a competitor. Failure is not an option for him as well. So works out.
Mel, I wanted to ask you real quick about the decision today with Tate Meir to make him an honorary member of the class.
Yeah.
Why was that important to you, number one? And was he a guy that was at least on your radar for next year, a guy you knew about?
Yeah, Tate was actually on our radar. I went and I saw him play during the bye week. Saw him play West Bloomfield. I was there at Oxford and sat with the AD in the end zone and watched the game. And I remember he took off up the sideline, and I said, man, who the heck is that? And I wrote his name down. I brought it back. I gave it to Saeed. And I said, man, we got to look into this guy. He's a really good player. He took off running. No one could catch him. And so I thought it was important to reach out to the family and obviously offer our sincere condolences. But we had some ideas on some things we wanted to do for Tate and for the family, and we ran it by them, and they were okay with all those things. And so, today, recognizing him as the first signee, that was a part of some of the things that we wanted to do for him.
Hey, Mel in the front down here. I was wondering, with the changes in college football, obviously name, image, likeness is part of it. With what you guys have set up here with Matt Ishbia and the amount of money the players get, how much do you think that is a factor in decisions, and maybe not just for you guys, but more in recruiting overall?
It's a huge factor. Name, image, and likeness moves the needle with players, with recruits, and there's a whole different mindset with the prospects now. It's not just the depth chart, playing time, scheme, X's and O's, strength and conditioning, academic support. Now it's, name, image, and likeness, earning potential, potential earning potential, what's happening, what can they actually see happening in the program now, as opposed to just what are maybe promises, for things to be hoped for. So we've put ourselves in a very good position to compete in the name, image, likeness category. We do a really nice job here with our creative team and with Darian Harris and the overtime program with Lorenzo Guest, working with our players on their brand and their marketing themselves and really preparing them to take advantage of everything that they can in terms of name, image, and likeness.
I have two questions. The first one, Christian Phillips, you referred to him as somewhat of a dancing bear.
Yeah.
Can you please go into a little bit more description of why you refer to him as that?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a term that you would see a lot, like in the NFL when the scouts are they're reading their reports, in the draft room, pre-draft, and that's basically a really big guy that's really light on his feet and nimble relative to his size. That can change direction, has really good balance and body control, and is surprisingly athletic and athletic and nimble relative to his size. And so, Big Dooley is one of those type of guys.
And you two have a lot of early enrollees in this class. You had sort of a similar situation last year. And so how beneficial is that for your program to be able to have guys get here early?
It's very beneficial. It's, for us on our side of it, on the coaching side of it, we get a chance to get 8 weeks of strength and conditioning with them to lay a foundation of for being best conditioned, and then we're able to get 15 spring practices with them before we even get to our summer program, and so that really helps develop our team more quickly. On their side of it, they get an opportunity to get off to a great start academically. Really, they get a chance to take a full load, in the spring, but without the without the pressures of having to play games, coming to a new campus, which is a benefit to them. And then they get the out-of-season conditioning program, get indoctrinated into our culture, our nutrition, obviously the academic support, and then they get the 15 spring practices, so they get the scheme, on offense, defense, and special teams. They get the foundation of that, and then they get a chance to go into the summer program where they're going to take a summer school class, get another 8 to 9 weeks going, and we do some installations during the summer, so they actually get the scheme for a second time. So when they come to fall camp and we introduce the scheme again, that's the third time that they've gotten the scheme. They already know what's expected, in every aspect of our program, and so that they're more able to compete for starting jobs and significant roles during fall camp.
There was a day when recruiting day was over, there'd be a sigh of relief and coaches would go to Costa Rica for a couple of weeks. Those days are over, aren't they? I mean, as you say, recruiting never ends, it's ongoing. I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing, but it is what it is, isn't it? Yeah,
well, it's more like when this day is over, get ready for practice tomorrow. It never really stops. There's still more players to be signed or acquired in the 22 class, and then it's full speed ahead on the 23 and the 20 and the 24 classes. Everything has been sped up. Everything happens a lot quicker now because of the early signing period. And players are making decisions a lot earlier. So we'll have our bowl preparation and play the game, and then shortly after that, the contact period will resume, and we'll be back out on the road looking to finish the 22 class, but also working really hard to lay the foundation for a grade 23 and 24 class. So it truly never stops, but if I do have an opportunity to get to Costa Rica, I will certainly do that.
You kind of touched on what I was going to ask in a little bit, but this obviously has been a topic of conversation in this early signing period, I think about maybe around 5 years into it. Do you see this continuing at this moment, having that early period between what it's done with your profession and those decisions that it's sped up for these kids?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard a lot of discussion amongst the coaches about it changing, but we never know. But from my standpoint, I'm very comfortable with the way it is right now. And if it does happen to change, then we'll just adapt and adjust. But there's a lot of players that we've recruited for a long time that at this point they know where they want to go. And they're not going to change their mind. It gives them an opportunity to sign and be done with it. And then for us to know, okay, well, we have this many spots left to go in this class, so we can take the rest of this time between now and February to focus in on those players, and then get a jump on the 23 and 24 class. So it works out for us right now.
Do you anticipate that being a topic if the coach would be the offseason?
I'm not certain about that. I haven't heard a lot of talk from the head coaches about that, but I really haven't. During the season, I haven't really talked to a lot of the guys, a lot of the head coaches, about some of the topics, whether they're rule changes or anything like that. So I'm sure that'll start that's going to come up here, after the bowl season and things like that.
Mel, in the NFL, a third of the rosters usually turns over every year. You guys signed 34 last year. How many do you plan to sign this year, or how many slots do you expect to fill?
Yeah, we'll have to see. It's fluid. I'm not sure about the exact number, but we are looking to add a few more pieces at a couple more positions. So we'll just have to see who becomes available.
Along those lines, I mean, do you see this becoming more and more like the NFL, and how much do you think your experience in the league really helps you and gives you an advantage in this current environment?
In the NFL, in terms of the rosters changing and guys coming and going.
Yeah, well, the portal being free agency kind of, and the signing class being more like the draft and such.
Yeah, I've talked to several NFL scouts, and they always joke around with me. They said, "Does this remind you of the NFL?" And it does in some ways. The portal moves very quickly, and that's something that you have to be not just ready for, but prepared for. And so that's very similar to free agency. What free agency starts in the NFL, man, it's a scramble, and decisions are being made very quickly because it's almost like a game of musical chairs. With those guys, there's only so many places these top guys want to go. They're looking for a certain fit, and when the music stops, they want to make sure they have a chair to sit in. And so it's everything is it's kind of like a 24/7 type deal. And so that does remind me of that free agency process. Now recruiting the high school guys is very similar to the college draft. I think it's more methodical. It's more over time, and so there's a lot of similarities there. The one thing about free agency that's different in the NFL is that in the NFL, on the personnel side of it, you have the pro side and the college side, and that pro side, those guys evaluate the other 31 teams, but they also evaluate your team, and so when free agency, there's a date set for free agency to begin, and because of the way that pro department is structured, they already know who's going to become a free agent. They have already made those evaluations, have those grades on those players, and they also know of, which guys may be, uh, maybe looking to move or whatever. And so, so you can you can prepare for that and have a plan for that and target certain guys relative to, your resources and what your needs are. The portal is a lot different than that because you don't always know who's going to become available. And so you don't have an evaluation on them before they become available. So once you do find out that someone's in the portal, the first thing you have to do is you have to get an evaluation, and that's watching film. And the quicker you can find out that a person's in, and you can get an evaluation and get a grade and find out, is he better than someone else that you're recruiting or better than someone on your roster? Are they going to make you better? The quicker you can do that, the quicker you can get on the horn with them and start the discussion and starting to build a relationship and see if you can get a match. And so that's why the portal seems a little bit more like a scramble.
Hey, Mel, you mentioned that Chris Bogle is someone that you recruited when he was in high school. When you watched him on film in the portal, in what ways has he matured or grown since then, and what made you want to go back after him in this time?
Yeah, he's filled out quite a bit. He was a little more slim. Now he's matured and he's filled out quite a bit. But he's the type of player that I thought he'd be. In terms of an athlete, what you see on tape is what we saw from him in high school. Long, twitchy guy that plays with a lot of toughness, but has a very good ability to rush the passer. He's got really good length, and he can bend. And so I was very excited to be able to get in it with him, and obviously he thought that this was the best fit for him. Comfortable with our staff and with our scheme, and what his role possibly would be here.
And when he was in high school, did you see him as an outside linebacker who was grown into a guy that can be more of a defensive end now, or did you think that
Yeah, I mean his body type will allow him to play defensive end in a 4-3 or an outside backer in a 3-4, and so sometimes you have to use that as a projection. Especially based upon the types of defenses that you run. When we were at Georgia, we ran the 4-down front and the 3-4 type front. So our outside backers were more of they were defensive ends in a 4-3 in a 4-down scheme. And so sometimes you have to make a projection on a player, just like when I was with the Browns. We ran a 3-4, but we drafted Cameron Wembley in the first round from Florida State, and he was strictly, hand in the dirt, 4-down guy. And so you had to make a projection, can he, how's he going to play from a 2-point stance? Can he drop and things like that? And so, we have to make that evaluation on players too and project. Sometimes even when a guy plays basketball, you can get a projection on that. Or if he plays another sport, you see him playing something on offense, or you see a guy working out in the weight room or something like that, you can try to get a feel. But Chris is a very versatile athlete that can do pretty much anything you ask him to do, out there on the edge.
Mel, a lot of these players committed before the season. I'm just wondering, when you'll get to 2023, do you feel like that's a class that you'll kind of be able to take advantage of, the momentum of a 10-win season going forward?
Yeah, we believe the 23 class for us is going to be a very strong class. We already have pretty strong name recognition with the prospects, their families, and their coaches, we're going to be able to get in on more of the very, very top players in the country than before. We'll not only be able to get in it, but we'll be able to stay in it. And so the top of our board will be more robust, and that should bode well for the overall 23 class in terms of its strength and its probably at the end of the day its ranking.
Mel, how important was your time at Georgia as a coach in terms of building relationships with high school coaches in the state? And do you see Georgia continuing to be a top pipeline for the program?
Yes, it's very important because it's recruiting. A lot of it is about relationships, and especially when players are going a significant distance away from home. So the high school coaches, folks around the program, and the parents want to know that they can trust you with their kid, with their son, especially far away from home. So if like I spent 3 years in the state at UGA, and so you build relationships, you gain a reputation. People kind of know what you're all about, and they say, hey, I know Mel. We can trust Mel. He's going to do what he says he's going to do. He's a good coach. He's going to develop the players, treat them right, and so they feel comfortable with us. And so we're going to continue to hit the state of Georgia hard. There's a lot of excellent football players in Georgia, and the high school coaching in the state and the programs they have is just outstanding. And so that's actually a primary recruiting area for us.
Yeah, Mel, just wondering about Caden, this guy that was committed to Boise State, you guys got him, and now he's he shot the rankings with his performance in the camp. I guess you can walk through the process of identifying him and what he's doing.
Yeah, I think that's a great example of just trusting your eyes when evaluating players, and being very, very thorough and know what you're looking for. One thing we don't do is we don't chase stars. When we evaluate players, we don't say, well, how many stars does he have? Where is he ranked? We're just evaluating the player. And so with Caden, we evaluated him, and Jay Johnson does a great job. He's very meticulous, very detail oriented, and we evaluated him and had a very strong conviction that he was the type of player that we needed to have in our program. He would be a championship caliber quarterback. He has the potential to be that at this level, and it's because all of the things that we've seen him do, physically, and then just talking to him and spending time with him, that he has the it factor, and he has what it takes from a mental standpoint, mental toughness, his approach, his mental disposition, his discipline, his drive, his determination, his competitive nature. He has all of those intangibles that you need to play the quarterback position at a championship level.
Coach, I know it's a busy day, so I appreciate your time. I think we gotta get going.
Okay, thank you so much. Go Green. Thanks. See you guys in Atlanta.